evil in the heavenly places. Listen to me. Satan is real. He is so real. And if you choose to start living in such a way that you're going to honor God and you're going to start getting out of that monotony of life and you're going to start living a life in which now it's not about your things and what you want to do, but you start living in such a way that you're going to join God, and we'll talk about what that means in here just a little bit. I promise you, Satan won't like it, and he will do everything in his power to stop you, but let me tell you something. He can't win. He can't. Not only can he not win in this life, but he will not win in the life to come. It is absolutely impossible, because when we go to Colossians 2, we already know this, that when Jesus Christ when he was placed on the cross and he was nailed to the tree, literally the idea was that he defeated Satan, even mocking him to that point. But the obvious question now comes. If that's true and he's placed him under his feet and that is all these things, then why in the world are things still in this world falling apart? And I was thinking about this, like, why is it then, and I looked through this biblically, if this is true, then why are things so still bad? I thought Jesus won. Does anybody remember the war in Grenada? Let me ask you this. Who doesn't remember the war in Grenada? Okay, nobody wants to. Thanks, Mark. How old are you, 12? The war in Grenada, does anybody even know how long it lasted? You don't measure it in days, you measure it in hours. Ronald Reagan decided, you know what, we can't have the spread of communism going on. And so he sent a group of troops over to this little island of Grenada. Can you imagine the full force of the United States Army like coming at this little island? They're like, ah! He gets there, and literally in hours, he came in and absolutely brought control to the entire island. And while he brought control to the entire island, the one thing that took place, though, is as they started to pull out troops, there were people that did not want this to take place. There were people that were still, in fact, it talked about snipers that were still taking out soldiers as they left, because what they were trying to do is to help them understand that while they were defeated, they were going to make sure, though, that they could do everything in their power to try to regain control of the island. And what the United States had to do was they had to leave a force there, and leaving a force there, what that force did is that force then began to take out all these little factions of people that were trying to somehow re-subdue this island and bring it back under communist rule. Now what's taken place here is the victory has been secured. Let me tell you something. Jesus has won. But Satan and his followers have not accepted defeat. In fact, they're doing everything they can, and there's demonic battle that rages on to wreck your life, to wreck your marriage, to wreck your family, to wreck your neighborhood, to wreck your place of employment. In other words, the whole idea behind Satan is he came to steal, kill, and destroy. And while Jesus has won, the reality is that this world still needs to be subdued like things were in Grenada. So what's God's plan for that? This is why Paul wanted their eyes opened. Look at verse 22. And he put all things under his feet, even Satan himself, and gave him his head over all things. He is the supreme one, but he gave him to the church, which is his body, the fullness of him who fills all in all. Now listen to me. The reason Francis talked about John 14:12 is that Jesus promised we would do greater things. Is because while Jesus was here on earth, in his physical body, he was limited to what was going on in Palestine and in that known world. And everywhere he went, the power of God went with him, and he did incredible things. But the thing that Satan didn't understand is that when Jesus Christ went into the grave and when he was raised again all new. And he promised, remember he said this, that when my Spirit comes upon you, you will have power and you will be my witnesses all over the world. Not only that, but there will be a power that will be just like the power I had, and you all now will be my witnesses in a unique way, and you will take the same power I had, and you will go to various places. And the whole idea that Paul's talking about Ephesians when he says this all in all is that the NIV says that you will fill everything in every way. Now what does that mean? It starts with your own life. What God is after in every one of our lives is to fill this all in all, is that first of all, it begins in Todd, those areas where the Lordship of Jesus Christ is not present. There are areas in Todd which Satan still attacks me and still buffets me, and I succumb. And the whole idea is that I'm joining God because God doesn't want part of Todd. He wants all of me. Not only that, but think about your spouse, if you have one. Satan is after your spouse. Your job is to join God to bring about the Lordship of Jesus Christ in your spouse's life, in your kids' lives, in your neighborhood, in your workplace, and even to the most remote parts of the world. Jesus says is that if Jesus Christ is truly Lord, then the greatest thing we can do in our lives and for other people is to come alongside of them and help them to understand that Jesus is truly Lord, and bend your knee now, not later. When he talks about this whole idea of fullness, what he's talking about is that we would be representatives in this world. In fact, he talks about it in 1 Peter 2. Go there with me real quick. 1 Peter 2. He's talking about us as a group of people, and in verse 9 he says this. He says, "You're a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for His own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light. Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. Beloved, I urge you as sojourners, as people that don't belong here. This is not your home. You're in exile. Abstain from the passions of the flesh. Abstain from those things that keep you trapped to this world, that keep you engaged in this world." He says, and not only that, but which wage war against your soul. "Keep your conduct amongst the Gentiles, the unbelievers, honorable, so that when they speak against you as evildoers, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day of visitation." What we're being asked to do is to join Him in His Great Commission. The Great Commission in Matthew 28 says this, "All authority in heaven and earth has been given to me." What does He say to do? "Therefore, go and do what? Make disciples." And not only that, but when you make a disciple of someone, it is so incredible to watch the shalom, the peace of God come into their life. There is so much non-peace in this world. What was going on in Bill and Pam's life was non-peace. She had left him. She was going to leave that sorry sucker and go somewhere else. The kids have abandoned him in so many different ways. But when Jesus Christ came into his life, it's not that life became better from the standpoint he still got cancer. But shalom came into his life. He became a different man. And let me tell you something. In Simi Valley, California, just like where Francis is going to India, let me tell you something. We need shalom in Simi Valley. Marriages are falling apart, and Satan loves that. Just in Cornerstone alone, we have marriages that are falling apart. What is needed? The Lordship of Jesus, the shalom, the peace of Jesus to come in. Businesses are falling apart. Families are falling apart. We desperately need that Lordship. And if you look all around your neighborhood, if you look around your workplace, if you look around your schools, oh, do we need the shalom of God? When Jesus left, here's what He did. He left us His Spirit. And He said, now go get Him. He's left us here to go and to proclaim a message. And the message is this. Go with me to 2 Corinthians and we'll finish here. 2 Corinthians 5. Look at verse 18. Actually, let's start 17. He says this. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. All this is from God, who through Christ reconciled us to Himself. And look what He did. And gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, in Christ, God was reconciling the world to Himself, not counting their trespasses against them, and entrusting to us the message of reconciliation. Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ. That's why we've been left here. God making His appeal through us, we implore you on behalf of Christ, be reconciled to God. For our sake He made Him to be sin who knew no sin, that in Him we might become